It is Christine with Birth by Grace Midwifery, and we are here with our student midwife, graduating student midwife, Nashana Stevens.
Hey, y'all.
She graduated April 29th?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
From her nurse midwifery program. And we're just going to interview her today and see, ask her what her experience was as a student and also with the BBG family. Okay, Nashana, tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to be a midwife.
I have 2 children, a 6-year-old, Austin, and a 2-year-old girl, Yara, and a fiance, Eric. I'm the only child, like Christine.
Uh-oh.
And, right. What inspired me to be a midwife was actually Yara's birth. I had Yara at a birth center, and it was so different from Austin's birth.
9-pound baby.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yara was 9 pounds, 8 ounces. I had her in the pool, didn't tear. I was so shocked. And on Thanksgiving, she was born on Thanksgiving Day. She was the turkey that year. But it was so different from Austin's birth. I had a hospital birth with Austin, and by no means was it traumatic. It was, I would consider, a typical hospital birth. It went well. Especially it being my first baby, but it wasn't the birth that I wanted for myself, if that makes sense.
So was Yara's birth your first kind of window seat into midwifery, would you say?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Midwifery, in a sense, what I would feel midwifery should have been. Yes. I also had a midwife with Austin. I feel like in the hospital setting, a lot of times when you're at a certain, like a clinic and birthing at a hospital, you're almost like a baby OB. And I hate to say that because it's not to discredit any midwives at the hospital. Like, it's all, it's always appreciated.
Yeah.
They do their thing. They are busy and they do their thing. But because of the patient population, there's a lot of PIT, there's a lot of MAG, there's a lot of moms that are diabetic, there's a lot of interventions. And with the birth center birth, it wasn't any of that. Obviously, they take a different population of patients as well. But even, I was considered a quote-unquote healthy patient. I still think I had more interventions than I would have probably liked to have had or even needed. So, I think midwifery outside of the hospital, you're allowed to really enjoy that natural process and allow it to happen.
And just to piggyback off of your statement about midwives in the hospital setting, even nursing in the hospital setting, I mean, you are part of a system and you are expected to do things a certain way.
You gotta check the boxes.
Check the boxes, and there is no freedom or autonomy in any of that.
No.
So that is a very true statement that I agree with as a midwife and a nurse that has been in the hospital setting. That's exactly how I experienced it. And I always verbalize that. I always speak on how you are a part of the system.
Yeah.
And, it's very hard and restricting when it comes to really taking care of women the way that you feel like they should be cared.
Because every woman requires something different.
Right.
Correct.
And
a lot of times you're not able to give them what they quote unquote need.
Right, because it's not designed to do that. Well, first of all, tell us about your nursing background.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with babies, mama, nothing. I was a psych nurse. I still consider myself a psych nurse. I love psych.
I love that about you. I was like, oh, she's going to be perfect.
Psych is my baby. Psych is where, I love psych. And doing different fields of nursing, I learned that everything is psych for the most part.
Definitely.
So I'm so glad I had that background because I've done med-surg, I've done ED, I've done home health. So you use that psych for everything, and I feel like it really taught me how to not take things personal. Because every day is not everybody's best day.
That's correct.
So what I get from my patients, I just go off of that. I'm like, oh, today's not a good day. I try and give them what they need.
Yeah.
So if they need me to kind of back off, I'm going to back off. If they need me on top of them, I'm on top of them. But I think psych helped me with that.
I think it was great that your background was psych as a student, midwifery student here, because you knew how to pick up on cues in communication with patients, and you knew how to redirect, or how to kind of finesse and navigate through interviews and conversations,
Right.
even if they were very difficult,
Mhm.
you know. And so I love that because it is heavy psych. I don't care if a
Yeah.
person's totally normal. You don't have to have a mental health disorder,
Right.
but it is heavy on
Yeah.
psychology and just knowing how to deal with different personalities.
Right.
Right?
And then they're growing a whole human, so there's emotions and things behind that as well. So just navigating through their mental space any given time during pregnancy, I feel like it helped me out a lot.
Yes. And so when we are dealing with patients who are with mommies
Mhm.
who are opting for home birth, we know that that's a certain personality a mom has, right? She's very in control of her life, and she wants one thing, you know, a certain way. She's envisioning a certain experience for herself. So those are, you know, mommies that have very strong personality.
With a zone called type A.
Type A.
Type A personality.
Right. And so you really knew how to, you know, navigate through that as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. You fit right in. So
I
we'll
was
get
nervous,
into that.
but...
Yeah, you did good.
Okay.
You did good, girl. Okay, so walk us through when you applied for midwifery school and how you chose your program. Tell us a little bit about that.
I was working in psych as infection control. I remember being at work and really, really deciding I'm gonna do this. Mm-hmm. And I'm one of those people, I feel like if it's for me, it's for me. Because even undergrad nursing, I said I'm gonna apply to 2 programs, and if I don't get it, it's not for me. Mm-hmm. And I never really think about if I don't get in type of thing. Mm-hmm. I'm like, if it's for me, it's for me. But for undergrad, some girls said, I applied to this particular program 3 times before I got in. Mm-hmm. And I was like, really? And it put things in perspective because I guess I always follow like what I'm feeling. Sure. So it kind of leads me in that direction. But I applied to them 2 programs, got in. For this particular program for midwifery, I said, I'm going to apply to this one program. And if it's for me, because it was so far from what I was doing.
Sure.
So I was like, I can't put too much into it. It's, you know, I'm probably not going to get in because I have no experience, no labor and delivery experience outside of my baby. And, you know, but I'm going to try because it's what I'm feeling like I really need to do. And I got in, and I was so shocked because the cohort was small. I don't even think it was 20 of us, maybe.
Okay.
But I was shocked. But that's how I knew it was for me. And now, of course, I had my friends and my family like, you should do it, you'll be good. They always call me, no matter what type of nursing I'm doing, they're going to call me for their kid or for themselves. Yes. I'm like, guys, I know nothing about babies, but I can give you, this is the only advice I have.
Right.
But with their encouragement, I kind of knew I was going in the right direction. And I always felt drawn towards like labor and delivery or even mother baby.
Sure.
But I was terrified because that's a lot of responsibility to help somebody bring their child into the world.
Got it.
And I was like, well, I messed up.
So, did you like your program?
I did like my program.
You went
I did
with a distance program.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm more of an in-person type of learner just because I'm not diagnosed, but I'm sure I have some type of ADH something.
Me too.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
and I've embraced that.
Yeah, right. You like you're doing this one
it's
day
really
and tomorrow.
It's a beauty to it.
Yeah,
so,
the next.
Yes.
You just
moving through,
and eventually you end up at the end.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay, I got this. But I like distance because I was able to do it at my own time.
Yeah.
So even though I probably would have preferred an in-person teacher, doing it distant kind of made me more disciplined, and I think I needed that for this profession.
So I graduated from a distance program as well.
Did you like it?
Did I like it? You know what? Like you, I was a mom already. I was a career woman already. I had a full-time job and doing all the grown-up things.
Right.
So it really fit my lifestyle.
Because to have to stop every time.
To have to stop and go somewhere, I don't think I would have been successful with that at that time of my life, you know. So that was the perk for me for a distance program is, you know, you are able to I learned about myself that my brain is all the way on at around 3 or 4 o'clock when it comes to studying.
In the afternoon?
In the afternoon.
No, I'm morning.
You're morning. See, I'm not a morning girl.
By 3 or 4 o'clock, my brain is like mush.
By 3 or 4 o'clock after my nap, I can study really hard in the paint. You know what I mean? So all that to say, it was a good program to be an independent learner. But the challenge, of course, comes with trying to find a preceptor.
Yeah.
Which I had to do very early on in my school.
Like
before I even entered school, I knew who I was going to precept with.
You were my second preceptor. My first year, you're doing like the primary care, the GYN, things like that. I still was lucky enough to find a midwife. Some people had to go with like a primary care physician and then switch over for other things. And she was a great midwife. Like sharp. Like sharp.
I know.
Sharp.
Yes, she is.
So I was lucky enough to get with her. So I felt like, I still got midwifery, experience. But boy, did I recognize how behind I was because I had no experience doing any of these things. Like primary care, I'm like, okay, that's fine, like a little earache and things. But I was at a clinic, a GYN clinic, so I wasn't really getting an earache. It was somebody coming in with abnormal vaginal bleeding, and I'm like, oh Lord, I'm not here yet in school. They're coming
I hate that to this day.
Yeah, you say that, and I think working at that clinic, I kind of started to like GYN a lot more because it's so vast, but it's also an area that a lot of women don't know about.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's themselves, like they don't know why they're not, bleeding irregularly, or they don't know why they keep getting BV or a yeast infection.
Correct.
And I like to problem solve, so I enjoyed that part of GYN.
Yeah, for sure. So what inspired you to call Birth by Grace for precepting?
So going into my last year of the midwifery program, the hospital that the midwife I was with birthed at had requirements that I didn't quite agree with. So I wasn't able to get my privileges at that hospital to birth. I still was able to go with her, and I was, observed, and that's how I experienced a lot of what I experienced in the hospital. But now I'm scrambling because I have to find a preceptor. I'm with a great preceptor, but I can't birth with her.
Got it.
So previously, one of my friends had told me about you, so I had started following you, and just, like, oh, okay, like this is somebody, and just following a lot of people in the birth world. And when I was searching for a second preceptor, I just felt like your practice aligned with what I was looking for.
Okay.
So I was so scared, but I said, I'm just gonna email her and see what happens. And I did, and I told you I'm one of those people I truly believe what's for you is for you. Because I emailed you, to my surprise, you replied. Because when you send emails out, especially my first semester, nobody replies.
Yeah.
It's really who you know. So you're sending these emails out and no one's replying, and you're like, I'm never gonna make it because I can't get a preceptor. But you replied, and I was out. Where was I? I was
at school.
At school, so I'm in another state because I had to visit the school at this time, so we could do our hands-on things, learn the suture, things like that. And you said, let's have a video conference. And I'm like, okay. So I told them I got to step out for the video conference, and me and you spoke, and I was like, oh, it was cool. It was like instant. Yeah. So I was like, okay, which relaxed me. And then you said that yes, and I remember I cried. I cried like a baby because I was so like, I had started that semester, and I was like, I don't know, I'm about to cry again because I was like, I really don't know what I'm gonna do if I don't find a preceptor. Yeah. And I was already at school. I was
Where's the tissue? Oh, girl, don't start all that.
I was like, I'm gonna just go because it's August.
Yeah.
So I'm in that semester. So I done paid for it, everything. So if I don't find a preceptor, it's not like you're gonna really get your money back. Correct. Or your time back or your effort. So you accepted me. I was like, oh my God, I was so excited. So I cried and I came back and they all was like excited for me. And I just knew your style of birthing lined up with what I was looking for.
Tell us about the first birth we attended.
Y'all.
First of all, I was like, okay, she's never coming back. She will never come back, ever. This is the first and only birth she's going to join us for, Dawn. So, my work wife. I'm like, okay. So, tell the people.
So, that birth, yes.
Home birth number 1.
Yes, my first birth, it went down. It went down. Like everything was going great. Everything went great. Mom pushed great. Baby came out, had color great. And then boom. It was like night and day because you remember everything was just going fine. I don't even know how it changed. It happened so fast.
Right.
But
we had an emergency.
We had an emergency for sure. We had respiratory on baby's side, hemorrhaging on mom's side.
Right.
And
a transfer.
So those were my biggest fears because in your head at home birth, especially your first one, you're like, what happens when it goes wrong?
Right. That's the first question.
Because when I tell people, oh, I'm going to be doing home birth, oh, well, what if it's an emergency?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think I'm equipped enough to get them to
where they need to be.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're here for, right? It's not. I think when people hear home birth, they think like boil the water, get the towels, lay the newspaper down, like we delivering puppies. And it's not much different from the hospital setting as far as how we manage.
Correct.
Especially emergent situations. Except for I feel like we're more patient, and of course we allow like that natural process to happen.
You handled it very well.
Thank you. And that's probably that psych in me.
You didn't run out the door down the street.
Right.
But I'm glad that, because I asked you afterwards, like, okay.
I appreciate the debrief you did too.
Yeah.
Because that helped too.
Because that was a lot.
And you said it, you was like, you gonna come back?
I was like, I hope she comes back.
Because it was my biggest fear and I got it out the way. My biggest
fear. It was
the
very first birth. You got everything.
Yeah.
Full cold, hemorrhage, transfer to the hospital.
Yes.
It was a lot. But it was a very, how can I put it? Like I think you put it earlier, just organized chaos.
Yeah.
We called 911. They actually came in and listened to what needed to happen versus this power struggle. And they were very supportive.
They really were. And I think they understood that this wasn't their area. You were the one who kind of taught me that they didn't have to be certified for NRP, which is neonatal resuscitation. In my head, like, the ambulance, I'm like, they know everything.
No.
And I'm sure some may, but a lot don't, right?
Correct.
So I think they really appreciated your guidance in certain things and us saying like, hey, we're going to transfer. We gave dad instructions. You were with mom. They allowed you to ride with mom because they didn't have anything to help with the hemorrhaging at that time, right?
Right.
So I think them coming in and recognizing that they weren't the best care at that time. They were the best transportation, but not the actual best caregivers, and allowing us to do our thing helped a lot. So that eliminated one stressor because we didn't have to battle and fight with the...
I think that I knew you'd be okay once you got through that day.
Yeah. That's how I felt.
I was like, she was very, you were very calm and collected. You helped, you helped out with what we needed to have, to happen. And you just managed yourself very well in that very high stress environment.
Thank you.
There was no screaming. There was no, that's not a thing that happens anyway.
And that helped because you wasn't screaming either.
Yeah.
So it kind of helped everybody else stay calm. And then who we birthed with, their
family.
Yes. They're so grounded
even
in
down
God.
to the children, right?
The children were helpful. It was like I felt like we was covered.
Yes.
And we were because baby was fine, mom was fine, everybody turned out great, right? And that's not always the outcome. But I'm thankful for my first birthday. That wasn't the outcome. But I got my biggest fear out the way. My biggest fear
because that was the very worst that it could get.
Yeah. Yeah. And And I think because I said it out loud and I spoke it, God knew that was my biggest fear. So he was like, girl, let's go ahead and get this out the way because we don't got time for you to be waiting.
Right.
You know, the anticipation sometimes will kill you more than the actual episode.
Perfect.
So, yeah, I'm glad. And we ain't have nothing like that since.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us about how just your experience as a student here at Birth by Grace.
It was, and I'm not just saying this because you're here.
Thank you.
It was great. It was obviously educational and fun. I enjoyed every day that I came in here. Down from you as a provider, Dawn, the moms that are, entrust us to in their birthing process. You trusted me, and I was so shocked because you didn't know me. You didn't have to, trust me. Not in the way that you did. So as soon as I started, I remember I think it was like GYN. It was like a PAP or something, and you were like, "You want to do it?" And I'm like, "Really?" Because I'm like, she hasn't really seen me do much, so I'm like, okay. Well, obviously she trusts me enough to do it. I like GYN, and I did it, and I feel like it went well. And I was like, okay, because sometimes you go in, especially as a preceptee, your preceptor may be a little nervous about your skills. They don't really know where you stand, and they might not want you to always touch the patient or do things. I had some people who's like, my preceptor barely let me do anything. And I was like, my preceptor was ready for me to do whatever I was comfortable doing. And I appreciated it because it gave me more confidence in my skill.
And that's how I learned.
Yeah.
Hands on, right away, in fire, just to do the things, you know.
Yeah, and then once you're in front of the patient, you can't really say, oh. You're just like, okay. But you were always close enough that if I felt like I could look and you were right there to kind of guide me.
Sure.
In a quiet way. Like it wasn't like nobody ever knew that I might not have known what was going on at the time. Like you might put your hand on my shoulder. I know like to slow down or speed up or do this. So it was the subtle things that you did that allowed me to really progress with my skills. And in a way that I didn't feel inadequate.
Got it.
And it's appreciated because you really need that. Because sometimes you're like, you get in a situation, a person makes you feel dumb or they make you feel like this might not be for you or something like that. So not holding my hand, but being close enough that if I was going to fall, I wasn't going to hit the bottom.
Right.
So it was appreciated because I needed it. And
I think part of that, my comfort level with you is because you are a nurse.
Okay.
And I can say that because, I try to precept non-nurse midwifery students. And naturally, there's just a difference in my expectation of this person to have certain skills.
Right.
But if if the student was not a nurse first, that stuff is kind of foreign.
Yes.
So for my own, capacity as a preceptor, I feel like this felt much more comfortable for me to precept a nurse midwifery student.
I had
because you had the foundation, and that's just what it is.
Right.
I'm a nurse. My background is clinical, and so someone I'm speaking to on that same plane, was a lot more comfortable for me to be able to nurture.
I can see that.
You see what I'm saying?
I can definitely see that.
And shout out to all the mommies for helping.
Oh yes.
And letting you
practice. Because y'all definitely did not have to. And they were always so cool. Like,
yes. And they're asking to this day, where's Mayshana?
I'm coming back.
I'm like, she graduated doing her stuff.
I'm trying to get my life together.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the differences that you noticed as far as what hospital birth or hospital care looks like versus out of hospital care.
Okay. I could start with the prenatal visits are different. The clinic I was in, obviously the clinic they're busy. Every clinic I've ever been in, it's been busy. 15, maybe 20 minutes with the patient, if that, because some people don't even talk to you, so you in and out. Right. You're like, here, let's listen to baby, we out. Here, the shortest might be 30, maybe. And most people would get an hour. But that you need that time because it allows them to decompress.
Mm-hmm.
It allows them to remember whatever they wanted to tell you. A lot of times I would leave my prenatal visit and like, man, I didn't say or I forgot to do. So I think the time we have with out of hospital care is different than in hospital care because they have to get to everybody. And there's so many people that they have to get to. They don't have the time to devote to each person like they probably want to.
Very true.
And I think they say it often enough. Like, I gotta whip through, or I gotta, I didn't get enough time with this person.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because it's a lot that people don't. It could be your 5th child and you still have something to learn.
Right.
And as far as the birthing side goes, obviously we're more patient. And again, it's probably because we have more time and we're not on strict guidelines. As long as mommy and baby are doing fine, we'll wait. It just showed me that everything doesn't have to be a rush, and it doesn't have to be on our time.
Correct.
And I think in a hospital a lot of times, and I'm guilty of it too when I did med-surg or ED or something, it's on my time because
you have 30 other patients.
Yeah. I got other people to see. I gotta eat eventually, right?
Pee, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. You went through a shift and like, did I use the bathroom? Did I take a sip of water? So you're so almost overwhelmed that you just don't get the time with people like I feel like you should.
The busier clinics have the volume, right? So you may having 35 to 40 people on the schedule is normal. Here, our busy day is what, 6 miles? And then I'm complaining about,
I do that. And we just laugh because we know
that is ridiculous.
Yeah, we're being crazy. Like 6 is, that's like ideal.
Like, girl, we're packed today.
Yeah.
But that's 6 hours of talking.
I was just about to say, that we really, in those 6 hours, we really are with our mommies for those hours.
Yeah.
It's not like we're just chilling and, we do chill sometimes and eat things.
We chill.
We do chill. And even when they're here, it's laid back. How we're leaning on this couch, this is how we're talking to the patient, and this is how they're talking to us. And I think it allows them to open up. It allows them to be honest, more comfortable because they don't think, or they know we're not putting on a facade.
Right.
More trusting because we give them, the good and the bad. Like,
and we have a talk about it.
Right. And we discuss your options too.
Yeah.
A lot of times when I was doing in-hospital or clinic care, the option was whatever we offered at that time. Okay, you're 28 weeks, we're gonna do the glucose testing or they could opt out, but you was probably gonna be side-eyed if you opt out or something.
Oh yeah, marked red marks and all kinds of stuff on the chart.
Like,
non-compliant, labeled, all the things.
And everybody might not need that. Everybody might not require certain things. So we gotta. I feel like here is more individualistic. Individualized. I made up a whole word.
That's okay. I know what you're talking about. I loved how you counsel clients on nutrition because I feel like you have a really good base of knowledge on nutrition.
Yeah.
Just from a personal standpoint.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that was very valuable for the patients because everyone needs nutritional counseling. And a lot of our conversations are about nutrition.
Yes.
Because I'm always counseling, whatever you're putting in your body is what is going to come out in this pregnancy. You know what I mean? So I love that you love teaching. That was a huge added perk and value to the
That's what I found that here.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize, and again, I didn't have as much time.
Yeah.
So I'm like just trying to hit the points and make sure I get the major stuff in, like, check your blood sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Stop eating the pasta every day.
Right.
But I might not have been able to offer alternatives to that. Mm-hmm. So if you tell somebody who's used to eating pasta every day, don't do it, they're looking at you like, girl, okay, well, what should I eat? Mm-hmm. Right. So here we actually had time to offer a list of alternatives or try this, not that, do this, not that. And it helps.
Yeah.
Because you don't just feel like you're trying to figure it out on your own. Mm-hmm. Like, I know I'm not supposed to, but this is all I know.
Yeah.
So being able to teach somebody, you know, a different way
Yeah.
helps, because then they're able to probably teach someone who could teach someone.
Definitely.
And that's how midwifery or just maternal health and as a whole starts to, and it's how it's going to change. Or
so preventative care.
Yeah. Because we don't want to get there. We want to stop you from getting there.
And that's the midwifery model, right? Preventative care, educational, you know, information that you need to promote health versus treating a disease. So I think that you had a very unique experience as a student because you were on both sides of the gamut, right? You were in the hospital setting and also the home birth setting.
Yes.
And I feel like that is such a wonderful experience. I wish I had that as a midwifery student because I feel like every nurse midwifery program should have a home birth nurse midwife on staff or faculty adjunct or something.
Boom.
To be able to allow students to see the other side of midwifery care outside of an organization or medical model of care.
Right.
Because we don't get that. We don't get that. So I'm sorry, but we come out as little mini residents and docs because we have not seen anything outside of the hospital setting and managing anything outside of the hospital setting. I can't say that I trusted birth, you know, after midwifery school because I didn't see, you know, from start to finish, you know, what the process looked like outside of this organization. Right. And I feel like that is a huge disservice. You know what I mean? And it's hard. I know it's hard to make something like that happen, but even if, you know, this might be a thing coming up on this camera, honey. My phone might be ringing after this. Wait a minute. I feel like there should be, like each student should be able to follow one mom going through the home birth midwifery journey so she can really get a front row seat to that experience as a provider. It's disheartening in the fact that there's a natural discordance between a nurse midwife working in the hospital because you've been groomed to practice in a certain way, and then there's that between the midwife that works at home. You know, we practice very differently, but we have the same goal. We just do it different ways. But neither one of us is doing something to harm the patient.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
It's just different.
And I feel like we should be incorporating that type of care when we're nurse midwifery students because you're able to really understand that women do make choices.
Yes.
They make very informed choices about their care, their bodies, and guess what?
They probably do more research than we ever have.
Honey, guess what? Your child. It's okay. It's okay. Why are my feelings in it? I'm not in my feelings about that. You're making a decision for yourself.
Right.
And I should be able to respect that and still provide the care that you're looking for. So I just feel like there should be more integration of both worlds for midwifery students.
Not every midwife might not want to do the home birth thing. They might not want to do the birth center thing. Hospital might be their area, you know, and vice versa. The one who in the hospital, she might say, you know what, this is not what I thought it was going to be as a midwife. I'm not doing the things that I thought I was going to be able to do. But she also doesn't have any other reference point.
Reference point, correct.
So she didn't do a birth center or a home birth. So she doesn't even know how to even get into that aspect of it.
That is correct.
So giving us both or just, exposing us to both would be beneficial, I feel like, for everyone.
Yeah.
Because when you only see one side, all you know is one side.
Right. And so you look for a job that you know.
Yeah, because you want to be comfortable and competent.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And then it just kind of closes off your options and perspectives for anything else because you have not seen anything else. So what did you enjoy the most and the least in your clinical experience?
Okay. Surprisingly, the most I enjoyed was teaching. I didn't think, I guess I didn't think I could be a teacher. But I really enjoyed just educating women on not only their bodies, but just the process and their abilities. It was just it was like, And again, it was because you allowed me to teach the class. And when you asked me, I was like, okay. Because again, I'm in front of people. I just don't want, you want to seem like you know what's going on. But I appreciated it because it really opened up a new area for me that I didn't even know that I would enjoy. My least, I guess with birth, because especially as I'm a very free person, but I have a schedule, if that makes sense. So with home birth or birth in general, because even when you're at a hospital, you're gonna get called out of your, out of your bed if you're on call. So that was probably the toughest thing for me to adjust to, because as a nurse, you're used to, I got my 3 days a week.
Your schedule.
I clock in 6:45. Yep, out by 7:30.
Right.
So you're used to your schedule, and I think having kids made it a little tougher just to kind of. And y'all had a special ringtone, and when it would ring, Eric would be like, and we're looking at each other, because now we gotta figure it out. What time is it?
Right.
Is it overnight? Are you gonna have to drop the kids off? Is somebody gonna help pick them up? He works out of town, so if he's gone, shout out to Aunt Penny. Is Aunt Penny gonna watch the kids, or my mom's gonna watch the kids? So it's different things to navigate.
Yeah.
I would say it was my least favorite, but I would say it helped me a lot in general, just getting more organized and getting things that I needed to get done, because I never knew when I would get a call.
Right.
So I think that was...
Call is hard.
Yeah.
Call is hard, especially in home birth midwifery. You don't have a schedule of, a whole full schedule of 4 midwives sharing calls.
Yeah.
It's great if you do, but, here we don't.
Yeah.
And that's why we have a limited amount of patients.
Right.
But even with that, it's like your life is always on.
Right.
And it's rough. Call is rough.
Yeah.
We're both moms, thank God we have supportive partners to allow us to move the way we need to. My husband, he always is stepping in, and he's more present than I am. Bless his heart. But it just wouldn't work if that wasn't the case, So yeah, I could relate to call being very rough. It is.
But I feel like I got more into the groove of it. Like it wasn't so, and it didn't bring up as much anxiety as like the first, second, third.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
After I was like, oh, okay, like we've done this before. You pick the kids up, this will do that.
Yeah.
And you just kind of roll through it. But I think it was my toughest thing to get used to and get adjusted to.
That makes sense. So, our clients loved you. And everyone's waiting for you to come back.
I tell you all the time, like, that your not patient population, I hate to say that.
Yeah.
But your moms, they're great.
They go with the flow.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
They have to.
They have to.
Right.
So tell us what's, next for you, and what are your goals right now?
Well, I'm supposed to be coming on with you, so I will be back, people.
Breaking news.
But ultimate midwifery goal, I think some way, somehow, I want to be able to teach a population that probably wouldn't be reached. A population that might not be able to pay out of pocket for birthing. Whether it be young teen moms or just older moms who just don't have access to this type of care, that they still can have like a healthy birth, that they still can have the birth they want, whether they want natural or medicated, you can get what you want. I want to kind of teach people how to navigate through that. And even if you're birthing in the hospital, which, if that's your choice, that's totally fine. I want to help you navigate that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people get there and they get lost in the sauce.
Definitely. And they don't have the resources.
They don't.
Like no one to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they partner, they don't really know.
True.
Their mom's been doing it the same way since, so they don't really know. So I really want to get women informed and just empower them that they can have the birth that they want to have. Regardless. But it's going to happen through education. So I want to be able, I don't know how, but some way, somehow be able to reach those moms.
And that's kind of in line with our companion program that we have developed and are accepting clients for, is because, that population of moms who aren't birthing at home, right? But there's so much information that you need outside of birth. You know what I mean? To prepare for your pregnancy, to have a healthy pregnancy, to get the support around you that you need, to have a fulfilling birth experience, period. So that's exactly what our companion program is about. It's not home birth based. It's more so the population of moms who really would benefit from all the information that they can, So lastly, what words do you have, like what words of encouragement do you have for midwifery students like yourself who are trying to navigate through life as a midwifery student? Like any words of wisdom for them?
to keep going.
Mm.
I feel like at times you always gonna have a moment where you're just a little discouraged, or you might have a teacher the test. I told you before I had the test. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do on this test, and I'm a decent test taker.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta keep going.
Mm-hmm.
You can get through it. Don't doubt yourself. Work on skills. There's plenty of skills. Again, I didn't have no labor and delivery experience, so there's plenty of skills. And I can't stand what I tell you. I don't like not being able to do something.
Mm-hmm.
But in my head, I work through it. So if it's a new skill, I'm picturing myself doing it. I'm watching you do the skill. I'm on YouTube looking up a skill.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna try and learn. So try and learn as much as you can from whoever you're with, because there's something to gain from whoever you're
That's
with.
correct.
Be confident in yourself. People trust someone who's confident, even if you don't know 100%. You know enough to be where you're at because you're there.
Mm.
So be confident in yourself. And my main thing is to just keep going, because some days you like I don't have nothing to give, because we got real life stuff going on, right?
Yes, that's correct.
It's not like you just in a birth bubble.
And being focused on what's important, right?
Yeah.
Because we can look around us and not see people who look like us, or, we can be in a space that's somewhat uncomfortable to be in,
yeah, for
right?
sure.
But you're there,
Mm-hmm.
and you got there, and you're there for a reason, and that's to graduate and get your degree, right?
That part.
So, doing what you need to do to get through what you got to get through, but at the end of the day, what's important to you, and just staying focused, like tunnel vision, right?
Yeah, and I think it's hard sometimes to see the light at the end of that tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
But next thing you know, it's right there, because I feel like I just got into my midwifery program and I'm out.
And you're out.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, what I do now?
It goes so fast.
I gotta really do this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It goes fast.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm ready.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And I feel like with time I'm gonna get to where I'm like, oh, I got this, and continue to learn. What I learned in nursing school is old now. It's constantly evolving.
That's very true.
And you have to evolve with it. You don't want to be that person who's like, well, this is how we always did it.
That's correct.
Because it might not be the best practice anymore.
Right.
Studies might have showed that this...
It's always changing.
Yeah.
Always.
So you got to change with it. So be fluid.
Be fluid. That's a good one. Good. Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I'm really, really happy for you. I'm proud of you.
I'm
excited. Yeah, you're going to rock it out.
Thank you.
But thank you.
Thank y'all.